Okay, so invisibility. This would have to go and see. Broadly speaking, I would say there's two types of powers, right? There's the ones which are functional, as like they provide utility, right? And there's the ones which are like they can do damage to you, right? They can do a lot of damage. You can have overlap between them, of course, but invisibility is one of the ones where I don't think there's no overlap. I mean, this is purely functional. Like it only really provides utility, and the reason I say C is because I think there's just better powers on here. Plus, I think in terms of the functionality that it does provide, it's not really that good. I mean, aside from the obvious camouflage, right, scenario, I don't really see why you would need the power of invisibility. Super strength. Honestly, this is the one which I was partially motivated to make the video for, and it has to go in B. The reason I say this is because I feel like this power is overrated. It's not that it's a bad power, but one way you can actually look at powers is that they overlap with other powers in terms of how much they have going for them, right? And this overlap would happen because certain powers need certain other powers to exist, to actually have them be usable, right? So, for example, if you have super strength, you would also implicitly have super durability as well, right? We don't really say this out loud, like, yes, if you have super strength, then you need durability. We just kind of assume that it's true. So, if you have super strength, you have super durability. But the reason I say it goes in B and not high is because I think there's other powers on here which are better because they overlap more with other powers, so they have more going on. Plus, if you were to also think about the functional angle, I just don't really think that this power is that functional either. So I would say B. Extra vision, okay, that has to be D because again, this is just a functional power. There's nothing really much going on in terms of damage wise, right? This power is basically just a modification on your senses, your eyesight, so you can, I guess, see through stuff. But unlike the invisibility, I don't really see why this would be useful to you. If it was useful for you, right, it'd be like a very specific scenario. So I would say it's not as good as invisibility, so it's probably D. Mind reading. Okay. Hmm. I would say it goes in C as well. This is also functional. This power in its, I guess, base state, I don't see how you can do damage with it. Maybe like, okay, no, in its base states, mind reading is just reading other people's thoughts, right? That's what I think of it as. So this should be C. So then the question is it better than invisibility? This would depend, I think, on you in terms of, I think it's like specific scenarios. It is a edge case power as well because if you use it, you would use it for specific situations, not like your everyday things. Although I think you could use it in everyday scenarios more likely than invisibility. I don't know. I think you could swap it around. It depends on, yeah, I think it depends on you. Okay, telekinesis. Okay. I would say B. So what I said before that powers have overlap, this would apply to telekinesis as well. It doesn't have telekinesis wouldn't really have super durability built into it. Although with that said, I do see that happen, and I don't really understand what the justification is. Like, I'm thinking of like Mob or like Tatsumaki from One Punch Man. I think they do have durability, but I'm pretty sure comes from telekinesis. I don't know if I would consider that like a extension of the power personally, but that is how it is thought of as I guess. So that one is a debatable super durability. But definitely if you have telekinesis, you functionally also have super strength because you can lift stuff, you can lift heavy stuff, you can also crush things as well. So telekinesis can do everything super strength can do. You could also fly with telekinesis as well. So then the question is it better than super strength? Maybe. Maybe. I would say they're pretty similar. Telekinesis wouldn't really have super durability. Like I said before, that's debatable. Super strength would have it. Telekinesis can do what super strength can do as well. So yeah, I think they're pretty even. Okay, super speed. This has to be S. This is unequivocally an S tier. And the reason I say it is because think about the powers this overlaps with. If you have super speed, you have super durability because you need durability so that your flesh doesn't just come off your bones, right, when you're running really fast. You also functionally have super strength as well because the amount of force that you are generating, right, if you punched with all of that force, you would do a lot of damage. So not only do you have super strength, you also have super durability. You also would have time manipulation to an extent as well. Like you would be able to slow down time, and that's not really me saying anything weird because we see that happen a lot in portrayals of super speed. So for all that reasons, it has to be S. Plus, I mean, if you think functionally as well, this is just a very functional power because you can use it to go from point A to B really easily. Super intelligence. Now, this might be controversial. I don't really know. I would have to say this is low A. I mean, I don't have another item in A, right? But this has to be low A. And the reason I say it is because of two reasons. Firstly, writing a character in a story, a smart character in a story, and versus in real life are two different things. In that a character who's smart, right? A person who's smart, you can't really understand the way they think. So it would be hard for me to rate this power because like I this is like a genius character or person, right, which who has this power, super intelligence, and I'm like an ant and I'm trying to fathom how OP this person would be, but I don't really have a good point of reference because I can't understand that kind of thinking, right? So because of that, I can't rate this. Like I really can't rate this. It's like me trying to imagine a super intelligent alien species, right? I wouldn't be able to do it, so I can't really rate this in terms of how awesome it is. And secondly, the way I see it, there's two ways which I see intelligence being written in stories. There's way one where we basically just have the character and they do something that's smart, but because we don't really know whether he's smart or not, they kind of just tell us he's smart. We just like, oh, okay, this guy's pretty smart. So, for example, right, you have a character who has like 50 billion PhDs, or like they invent time travel, or they could learn to speak when they were like 2 months old or something. That would be type one, and type two would be a character who actually did something smart and they actually told you the reasoning of what actually happened, right? So, for example, in Death Note, I don't know what episode it was, but when Al figured out the location of light by narrowing it down by, the TV strat that he pulled off, right? So that would count as the second type, right? The reason all of this is relevant is because if a person who was super intelligent existed, first of all, we wouldn't be able to fathom it because, that's also why I can't rate this very accurately. But secondly, the things that they do would be limited by the things that are actually possible in real life. So, for example, if it's not possible for time travel to exist or teleportation to exist, the person who with super intelligence would not be able to make those devices anyway. They could in fiction because there's no rules like that. But if reality you can't have teleportation, the guy with genius level intellect wouldn't be able to do it either, right? And that is why in real life they would be limited in a couple of ways. So I would have to say it's not S. It just there's just too much stuff that you don't really know because you can't really fathom how this will realistically look like, right? So I would have to say A for now. Flight. Okay, so this is also another utility power. I feel like you could damage people with it as well, right? But if you were to ask me, I would say it's probably C. It's better than invisibility because it's more functional and better than mind reading as well. Yep, okay, I think it's C. Superheating. Okay, yeah, that's also, I would say that's E. So this is pretty much this X-ray vision but worse because you can just hear more. At least with X-ray vision, I guess you could see some newer things, but with superheating, you could just. I mean, there's people out there who probably have this, right? I mean, I don't know what quantifies as super, but I don't know. It just seems a bit weak. I don't really see how you could do a lot with superheating. Laser eyes. Okay, so this one is better than the ones in C. It does damage, right? So it's pretty OP. I would say here. Does it have super durability built into it? No. Just because someone has a laser eyes does not mean that they have durability. Except for I guess the eyes. I don't think it has anything else going for it. I mean the potential of this depends on how deadly the laser is, right? Yeah, actually I think this is fine. Low B. The power to control animals. Okay, so this one could be used functionally and also to do damage as well. I think it has to be low B though. You could use it to attack people, right? Because you're controlling animals, but you could also use it to like help you out. So animals could just help you out, right? I'm trying to think. Could you fly if you had this? I don't feel like you could, because I don't think there's any animals who could carry you in the air. Maybe like maybe like that scene in the B movie where all the bees were lifting the plane up. I don't know. That seems a bit too much. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I would say low B. I don't really see how this is that OP. You know what? Actually, I think the power of this depends on the animals themselves. In that, all these other powers, the potential of these powers are dependent on the scale of the power. So if you scale up super strength, or if you scale up telekinesis, but with this one, the potential of this power actually depends on the animals themselves. Like what animals do you have access to? So that kind of makes it worse, I feel like. Okay, teleportation. Okay, so this one is actually kind of interesting. So first of all, teleportation is always faster than super speed, or should be faster than super speed, right? Because super speed is pretty much just covering a certain distance over a certain time, while teleportation is pretty much covering a certain distance over zero time, as in like it happens instantly, right? So teleportation should always be faster than super speed. So that should quantify as being better. But if you look at other things, it wouldn't come with durability built in. I don't think you could damage anyone with it, but it would be really useful. I think it'd be more useful than super speed. So I would say here. Maybe you could say here. Okay, it does lose to super strength. Yeah, okay, I think here. Okay, technically then I would have to put it here because these two are connected. Time manipulation. Okay, this one is also connected as well. So what's happening here is that I said super speed allows you to control time to an extent, but that is limited because you'll be able to slow down time. Although actually to be fair, the time manipulation itself would depend on how much you're reading into it, like, because I don't know if it's super scientific if you can travel through time if you had super speed. Like when I say travel to time, I mean like travel to the past and travel to the future. I know you can travel to the future because you can slow down your own time, right? I mean like when I think of like traveling through time, I'm thinking of like Doctor Who TARDIS and jump in and then go to a different past. I don't feel like that should be possible with super speed, but with time manipulation that's like definitely possible. So in those grounds, this should be better than super speed. But again, in terms of durability, time manipulation shouldn't give you durability. In terms of everything else, super strength, it shouldn't give you super strength either. So it has to be worse than super speed. Yeah, okay, I think it's worse. Shapeshifting, okay. So this one is also utility. Okay, no, it has to be here because you can control animals to do stuff, but in shapeshifting you can just become the animals. Plus, shapeshifting would just allow you to turn into everything that isn't an animal as well, like aliens and stuff. Plus, if you think about functionality, it can also cover options of flight as well, because you can turn into a bird or something, right? So it would cover a lot of options. Gravity manipulation. Would you have durability if you had gravity manipulation? Maybe. If I think of gravity manipulation, I kind of think of creating a point where gravity kind of like is pushing things closer or pulling things away, right? So I guess you kind of would need to, because you need to be withstand you would need to withstand your own powers. So I would say yes. You would functionally have super strength, I think, but not really. You could crush things and you could exert a lot of force. So technically, you do have functionally super strength. You also functionally have super durability as well. So this kind of falls in the same umbrella of these three. Yeah, okay. I think this is fine to put it here then. Possession. Okay, this has to be the best one because you could just possess someone who has all these other powers. That's the base way of thinking about it. Like that's what I think of when I think of this power. This does depend on the scale of this power, to be honest. So if like the scale is pretty limited, then either it's a worst power or it's the best. Like if you possess someone who has super healing, then yeah, okay, you're the worst person here. But if you possess someone who has super speed, then you're the best. Precognition. Okay, so this one is kind of interesting. First of all, time manipulation functionally covers the set of abilities that precognition would give you, because if an event happens and you experience it, then you can go back in time and then tell your past self, hey, this is about to happen, don't fall for it, right? So this should functionally cover the set of options, the abilities that these give you. So for that reason, this can't be too high. It also wouldn't have any damaging abilities either. So this is all functional. And in terms of functionality, I think you would have to say it's pretty high. Is it better than flight? Maybe, maybe not, maybe. Yeah, okay, I think it's fine to put it here. Okay, healing. Okay, I would say that this is A, because this is a utility power, but I think this is probably the best utility power. Would you have super durability if you had healing? Technically, you wouldn't need it because you could always heal from any injury. Actually, no, that's a lie, because if you died, then you would never be able to heal because you died. But if you could heal any and every injury, then this is definitely the best. Is it better than being super intelligent? Maybe. Actually, to be fair, I make an assumption that if all these powers exist, then that means that they exist and can be replicated. So the person with super intelligence could figure out how to replicate these themselves, right? That's how it should work in theory. So if you do that, this should be here. But I feel like that's kind of cheating, so I'm not gonna do that. So basically, the person with super intelligence should not be able to figure out how the healing works. I mean, they can figure it out, but they can't replicate it. So because of that, I would have to say you can swap this around. I think it depends on you. Yeah, I think it just depends on you which one you value more. Okay, cloning. I think here as well. If you think about cloning, what it firstly is functional because you can do a lot with it, right? Would it have super durability? Maybe. Okay, maybe if you can jump between clones, like there's no like original body and you can jump between clones, then yes, I think this would have super durability. But it's not durability. It's just that you can just switch between clones. So durability is not a factor. Technically, would also have healing as well because you can just go to the clone which isn't injured, so it functionally covers overlaps with the healing and teleportation, and also durability. A little bit of super strength as well because all the clones could come together and act as pure manpower. So yeah, okay, I think it's fine to put it low A. Okay, I think that's the entire list. I think I'm happy with this as well, actually. Now, even though I ranked these as S and all these other ones lower than it, I'm not saying that all the ones that are in high ranks would win against all the ones in low ranks. This is just more so me saying that all these powers are really strong, but there's other powers which are a lot more stronger if you just look at the wider field of everything that's possible within the power. But definitely, I think the ones which I stand on the most is super speed. I think this one is definitely S tier, and definitely super strength. I don't know how I would rank super strength and I guess all the adjacent ones, these two as well, in terms of maybe you should move them up a rank. But definitely super speed is better than super strength. I 100% agree. 100% think that. Okay, I think that's the entire video. Let me know what you guys think as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.